Here we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Shooting the Crit, episode 4, aka the episode where Tyler is going to yell at me because Jason X is the worst damn movie of the Jason series.
Oh, man. I thought we were going to come out with this with like a little bit of civility, like a little bit of, white gloves and everything. No.
No way. No, so I appreciate your explanation on why you think, and we will get to the actual show later. I appreciate your explanation on why Jason X is a good one for you. I do agree that they did take something that was getting stale and added 2 different time traveling space things. Not just is he frozen once and gets onto the first ship, but then that ship ends up getting taken over. He's frozen again, and then in the future, 2 futures, he comes and smashes a girl's face that's been frozen with liquid nitrogen.
It's got everything in it. What more could you ask for?
That's true. That's true. Do you want a cohesive plot? No, you don't. No one likes those. Those are for garbage. That's for garbage shows. What you want liquid nitrogen on a woman's face getting just blasted into what is one of the more shocking kills of the entire series.
Right.
But I understand. You have that kill, and that's your peak. Honestly, if you watch Jason X to that kill, that's good.
I know somebody.
I'd accept it.
I know a couple of my friends actually. They ruined the Blockbuster version of it because they had slow-mo on the VCR, and they rewound and watched that kill so many times it literally stretched the tape. And for some of you younger people, VCR is a type of mechanism where it was on a tape, and so actually slowing it down caused it to stretch out and would ruin said film. Nowhere near as good as DVD.
Oh yeah.
Also, I don't know if anybody saw in my chat, my roommate, I had this on and I had to turn the speakers up, and my roommate's upstairs, and he's like, every sequel that you guys were naming were awful, he was like, are they talking about Highlander? Are they talking about this? Are they talking about that? And he hears Tyler screaming, and he was like, you said Jason X, didn't you? Because like a week ago we were talking about how awful it was. And he wanted to put forward Mortal Kombat Annihilation as the worst sequel of all time, because Mortal Kombat was so good, and then Annihilation
that
was just
up there.
garbage.
It's real.
But yeah.
It's real bad. It's one of those few, just like, surely we can find a redeemable quality to this. 2 hours later, no.
Nope, still looking for it.
We tried.
I think that one was Dexter's dad played Raiden, because the first one was the guy from Highlander, I think, and then like the guy that looks like the guy from Highlander is the guy who played Dexter's dad. Miles is arguing with us already. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So
Highlander 2.
That was a good choice. I wasn't expecting Highlander 2 to make an appearance in the poll, but yeah.
And I assume most of the viewers that we have tonight are from the show earlier today that you guys streamed, which is part of the Patreon. So cool. It looked like you had a good turnout. I'm sorry that you lost.
Listen, obviously Miles and Drew have been they're a part of the podcast, The More You Nerd, which is a really fun, podcast for like everything that we were talking about. They cover this stuff exclusively. So like going up against Drew on this stuff for me, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I'll fight cannons with my dinky laser gun. That'll turn out great. So yeah, no, I expected to get thrashed pretty bad. I was happy that I got the votes that I did, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was it was a great stream. I definitely want to play that more.
Yeah, those are fun to do.
So, to those joining us, I feel like most of you probably have seen the show before. If you haven't, we are a fan-based show that is talking about the last week or few weeks episodes of Cosmic Crit, and you are one of the cast members.
Oh,
Everybody
Beans,
should know.
I am. I'm on that show.
Yeah, famous for Edrass, about to be more famous for Nikithi. So let's talk about that. Let's leave Edrass. Edrass is dead. Let's talk about Nikithi here. So
Sure.
why Asharu? Why squid slug guy?
Why slug guy? So I think, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I like weird alien races. I like the races that are like kind of as far away from humanoid as you can kind of be. I like the humanoid races. Like for the one that comes to mind immediately is the Panchera, I believe, or the cat folk kind of. I like that, but I really like to play things that are where you're just looking at it and you're going, oh, I don't even know what you are. So like the Urgog, the Astrozoan, the Kazir, the Embry, I think is the name of them. Those are all the kind of races that really I like to play. And so I came across the Osharu when AA2 came out, and I immediately I kind of died laughing. And I died laughing because they are, it's a slug species. And I'll tell a quick story about my upbringing. My grandma lived with me when I was a kid, and she was like a hardcore Dust Bowl era grandma. So, you know, she's the one who like made sure I went to school and welcomed me when I came back. And I remember like I would get home from school and I would be walking around outside, and she had all these different gardens. You know, some of them were just wildflowers, some of them were strawberries. She had, you know, grapes and carrots and potatoes, just a ton of stuff. And you could look down her garden bed rows and you would see these like 4 or 5 inch sticks coming up out of the ground, and there would just be like an army of them snaked throughout the entire thing. And when I first saw that, I was like, what is going on? And like I go out and I pull out, and at the end of every single one was a slug. And she would just stake these suckers and just move on and leave them there. And I thought, like, this is the most psychopathic thing I'd ever seen. This is crazy. So she hated slugs. She put down more chemicals into the dirt than probably any corporate organization has put into the earth to this day to try and kill them. And so when I saw slug people, I was like, I got to do this like, Grandma, this one's for you. You'll hate it, but I think it's great. So a lot of what I wanted to be a slug person was just because my grandma.
That's awesome. No, as a gardener, because somehow I have a hobby in everything. I adamantly hate slugs. I am right there with her. I used to have a slug problem as well. But then there's these things that you can get that's just copper, and you just line the garden with the copper, and then like as soon as the slug touches it, it's like slightly electromagnetic, I guess, and it like shocks it a little. It's not like you're not like actually electrocuting them, but it's like it just gives them that kind of like when you bite down on a penny or something, I assume, and they're like, nope, going the other way. But yeah, no, slugs will ruin a garden.
That's a great choice. It's a lot nicer than my grandma, who was just kind of like kill them all,
mass genocide, you know.
Just leaving them for the others to see.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh man.
Oh yeah, Choop. The banana slugs are. Thank God I don't have those. Those things are ginormous.
Those things are great. But a lot of but I did model a lot of the artwork and stuff off of sea slugs because I did want Nikithi to be like colorful and vibrant. Mm-hmm. I find his voice to be like, you know, I made his voice kind of muted. His personality is even a little muted, and so I wanted to kind of juxtapose that with just kind of a very bright, colorful, pigment for him.
It works out, definitely.
Yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out. I was really worried episode 1, especially with the voice. I was really, really worried about how that was going to play, if people were going to like it. And people seem to be enjoying him so far, which I feel very lucky.
Yeah, I definitely like the difference. I can't think of the right word right now, but just going from what Edrass was to how you're seemingly going to be playing Nikithi, it's fun to see people really branch out over different genre types.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that'll be interesting. Now, do the Osharu leave a trail of slime when they're walking? That
They
it's
do
very
have
important
an
for me.
extraordinary ability. They do have the extraordinary ability to leave slow. So I think, do they leave slime just willy-nilly? I don't think so. I think that they're at the point where they can kind of control that excretion. So I don't think he just leaves a trail. Otherwise, survival checks against him for tracking would be super easy.
Right.
That is true.
Nikithi went that way.
It's a damn shame. Yeah, that only makes me wish that Nikithi was a little more immature, just so like I could get a lot of Rebecca's character, which we haven't interviewed yet, so I haven't memorized her name. Just getting really pissed off at
Talara.
Nikithi. Talara, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I made, I because I chose mechanic and because of the Oshar, and I think the racial bonuses to that are intelligence and wisdom. I wanted to make a guy who was older, who had put a lot of work into a shop, who had seen a lot, who had kind of worked at the highest level in terms of engineering and bioengineering, but
Mhm.
who then and then started his own project, which was his drone.
Well, there you go.
So when picking the Asharu and stuff, I mean, we all have joked for the last like 6 months about during the entire contest that you could not and were banned from playing the uplifted bear. And we do kind of know why. We know that you had lots of puns for a Pathfinder game, and I assume you got it from the green text that's popular, where he's going around convincing people, like it's a bear bard that's convincing people that he is a human. But are you a little bit salty that Miles got the bear?
I mean, there's no way I could even stand up here and pretend like when I saw uplifted bear, I wasn't like, boom, that's happening. I want that one. I think there's a Discord conversation between Patrick and I the day AA2 came out, and I was like, I want to be uplifted bear, and he was just like, listen, no, you can't, like, you can't. I can't. In the terms of like Patrick and I playing games together, we played we played Numenera together. I think that was the first game we ever played together, and I played a shifter there. And then we did the FFT20 stuff where I wasn't a bear, and then we did Pathfinder, where I played part of it as a shifter bear. And he's like, I just can't have you being another like this thing. Pick something else, but you're banned. And so that made me a little sad, but I'm glad I didn't. One thing that I think is more interesting on this podcast is when we as players challenge each other, or just challenge ourselves to play something that maybe we haven't. And man, the bear would have slotted in so easy for me. It would have just been like, I know what this is. I've been here. I fit these shoes.
It's your comfort zone.
Yeah. So initially, I was a little. It was unbearable to see somebody else play it. But in the end, I'm pretty happy about it. So what ended up, I think Miles has done a stellar job. I'm super happy. He really wanted to work on this voice that he's doing, and I think he's knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
So as unbearable as it is, have you been helping Miles out with his puns? Have you been writing anything for him? Send them in the
No. So the pun thing, so like this was my mistake, and my mistake was that when in the Pathfinder game, I thought I could make like one pun joke and we'd all be like ha 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 and leave it behind. Instead, it just floodgated everything for all the other players in our Pathfinder game, who just took it and ran with it like a million, just gone forever. So Patrick was getting upset at me because I played the bear. I wasn't even making the jokes half the time. I was just getting like just
somehow it was your
under,
fault.
It was somehow my fault. I was getting tossed under the bear bus every second of the campaign. And so I swore when Miles chose this, I was like, no, I don't want to do any more bear puns. I want to swear off bear puns for the rest of my life. Miles, you got to rise above, Miles. I don't think we're gonna get that though.
Oh no. I mean, honestly, I think I've heard "unbearable" a few times, just like from talking to you and Miles himself, and I think that they just come out half the time without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then you name your character Winnie the Pooh, and it's just you can't stop it now.
No, Miles is oh my gosh. I don't know if amazing's the right word, but he's amazing for what he's done with Win of the Hexen Way. He was just as he was talking to me about it, he was so tickled and so just flat out happy with what he was doing, and I was laughing the whole time too. So it's crazy, but it's definitely going to go above and beyond what any bear joke has been probably in podcast history.
Nice. I am pretty excited. So back to actual you, because we're not gonna spend this entire time talking about Miles. He got his show last week.
Oh yeah,
but I love Miles.
Your drone is a biomechanical Akata.
Yes.
Now, because we haven't really gotten to talk I haven't heard much in the podcast about it yet. And I don't know how much you can actually say, but how much bio is it? Because I feel like this is kind of homebrewy, not necessarily full core rulebook. So did you take a Akata and make it a robot? Does it have like Akata or how you may play like dog-like features like in its brain? Or
yeah. So my goal with statistically, it's just a drone. A lot of the Akata stuff that I wanted to do, because I noticed that a lot of the Akata stuff I wanted to do was have it try and become as close to the Akata stat block as I could make it as the drone gains mods and feats. And so, like, for example, the Akatas have a climbing speed. Drones can get climbing claws. And so, like, that will probably be the next mod that the drone picks up. Because the idea that Nikithi basically had was that there cannot be some be-all end-all technological marvel that is the greatest weapon. Likewise, there's no creature that is the greatest weapon. But in his theory is that the most powerful weapons that can be devised are going to be those that mix the two. What nature has developed over the course of its untold centuries and millennia of time, and what we have come up with in our relatively short existence. And so I wanted to reflect that with the Akata. So in terms of like stats, like I said, it's just a drone. In terms of like how we've sculpted it, like 35% of the drone is real biological parts, but just a lot of it is encased in mechanical bits. So a lot of like the outside of it is covered in kind of like a synthetic flesh. I wanted to make him to where I wanted to make the drone actually able to digest food for fuel. So it kind of have like a biomass engineering system inside of it. So it could actually, because I wanted it to be able to like eat biomass and then actually, convert that into its battery. But that's all flare stuff. That's all stuff we're adding to make it more real. And hopefully as the levels grow, I think one thing the mechanic can do is I believe there's a mod or a feat or a trick that allows you to install what do you call them? Like actual augments into the drone.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably something I'm going to be looking at down the line, and just try and really actually try to not only with the flare but also with the mechanics of the game, make this as a big of a mesh between the drone and what Starfinder gives for bioengineering as possible.
Awesome.
Now, if the drone bites somebody, does it impregnate them with nanobots?
It does not. That is not something I figured out how to do. Of course, the first thing I was just like, hey, Patrick, can I just have Void Bite? Can you just give that to me, bro? And he said no. So, which was understandable. It would be a little broken if he was having to roll fort saves all the time. But no, if I can figure out some way, some kind of, I haven't figured out exactly how. I really would like to make him have some kind of void bite. And I've been looking at, like, there are melee weapons that have the injection special property, and so I could find a melee weapon and flare it as a bite attack and have it inject certain kind of drugs. I will tell you, the drug list in Starfinder really limited, and so are the poisons. And none of those poisons are you're pregnant. So it's not a perfect system, but there is, I did see an avenue to get where, like, he could have kind of sort of a void bite, not a perfect one, but one.
All right, you heard that, Crittermanders. Get on it. Help Tyler get through this book and figure out how we can get the void bite into the game.
We do.
Yeah, so
tweet it, Paizo.
Tweet
right.
Paizo.
Make it official.
Tweet,
yeah,
and make sure you tag Cosmic Crit when you are tweeting at Paizo. How can we get this drone to get void bite? Yeah.
Release Akatas as playable characters. Do it, Paizo.
Oh God.
Oh man. That's nice. So so what got you into tabletop?
Oh man. So my tabletop experience started when I was I think it was middle school. And it was kind of that basic thing where I had a friend buy all the books. He was my best friend at the time, and he said, "Hey, I've got D&D 3.5, this thing called D&D 3.5, and my little brother wants to play it. I want to play it. I've kind of written something up. Do you want to come over and try it out?" And so my first experience with Dungeons & Dragons was creating a character, a level 1 D&D 3.5. I think I made a barbarian, and his little brother made a sorcerer, and we went into this, like, little dungeon that he made. And we were all so unfamiliar with it. We messed up a whole bunch, but he drew out little grids, and at the end of it, he put an affiliate, and it just killed us. Which was like, we were level 1. We're I think a few hundred XP from level 2, and he's like, and then you see an affiliate, and we were like, oh God. And like, I don't know, he was just like, you're supposed to run away, and we're dead on the ground, and it's like, sorry, we didn't know. So that was kind of my first experience. I'll never forget the mind flares because of that, because they killed my first character basically. And so I played that with him, and we played that for a little while, but then I got into high school, and I didn't play again until college, because I was a jock. And so I literally did not have time for a campaign, and none of my friends in high school, except for the one who played, who did that little session for me, were into D&D 3.5, and so, or D&D or TTRPGs at all. So okay. I didn't get to play until college. And then in college, I met a bunch of people who played, and I got to play things like, I got to play more I played more Pathfinder. I played D&D I played D&D 4th, I want to say. I played the Wheel of Time TTRPG. That I can't remember what it's actually called, but I got to play 3 or 4 sessions in that, which were really fun. And then there was another TTRPG that I can't remember the name of. I wish I could. It's like right there, and I'm not gonna. But you played beings that had like escaped kind of a fairy realm. Man, I can't remember what it's called. But I played a lot of that and had a lot of fun. And then when I made it all the way through college, graduated, then I kind of lost the game again for like a long time. A lot of my college buddies, we went away from it, and then one day I was playing Destiny, and I met a man named Patrick, and we played the game for a little while, and then he sent me a message. I have it marked on my calendar. We actually have like a friendiversary, which kind of this marks, where it was where he sent me a private message through like the Destiny forums, which was like, hey, I'm putting together this Numenera campaign, and I was wondering if you'd want to play, outside of Destiny. And boom.
That is
there you
awesome.
go.
That all the way through, here we are now making a podcast together. So
You got a screenshot of that, right?
of that message,
Yeah.
I could screenshot that message. Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be
That's
worth
a
something.
historic piece of cosmic history right there.
Yeah, I was really really happy because my because he played we all played together along with my wife, and we really liked playing with them. But it's always that weird step when you have online friends where you're like, who's going to take that first step to really be like, hey, we're having a lot of fun with this game, but maybe you want to play outside this game. And when he sent that message, we were just I'm rereading it now, and his name on the forum back then was Space Magics.
Well, it's official. Patrick is going to be referred to as Space Magics now.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
already changed his nickname. That is awesome. It's spelled with an X too, right?
Yeah, no, it is like Space Magics, the actual thing.
No, I have a friend that's like that. I met him playing Dota 2, and he has a kid now, and he's kind of fallen off the gaming system. But yeah, like when I started running on Roll20, I was like, hey, do you want to play? And unfortunately, he didn't have time, but the same exact thing was like, I know this is weird. We usually play like shooting games, but do you want to listen to me talk for an hour and then make a decision? Like,
yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at it now. There was Monday, November 1st, 2015.
wow.
Sparked a friendship that eventually led us to. I know it's a little off topic, but when after we had done all this stuff together, like Destiny and doing the TTRPG stuff, PAX East was going on, and my wife and I decided that we were going to buy tickets to PAX East and meet all of the people we had been, because they were all going to, and meet all these people we have played with, but had never met physically ever. And we told my wife told her parents, who were abhorred. They were just like, you're gonna die. They're gonna take your wallet and they're gonna kill you. We'll never see you again. This is ridiculous. This is so stupid. How could you trust these people? And which was very funny. But it was also a very, very, very fun trip.
That's, man, it's hilarious. Your stories remind me so much of like my first real. I played in high school, but it was like joking around. I didn't care about the rules. But my first real tabletop thing was like I got in my head I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or some kind of fantasy tabletop. And somebody posted on Reddit, in the local of my city's Reddit, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. And we scheduled for the next day, and I called. I'm an observer. Oh, somebody's sound's going off.
I'm doing
it. Hey guys, that was Pokemon. Don't you like Pokemon?
That was awesome.
I just wanted to watch the stream, guys. I wanted to be able to watch our stream. And why is the front page of Twitch playing Pokemon? Why would
they've already done that?
Anyway,
awesome.
I'm putting I copy and pasted into chat the message Patrick sent me, so there's proof.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Please continue your really cool story.
No, you're fine. So I had planned to meet this guy, and it was he's like, yeah, come over to my house, and it's in this area that Wookie is actually from that area, so he may know what I'm talking about. But I was like, I don't know if I just want to go to this person's house. And and so I went to my friend's house an hour before we were supposed to meet, and I was like, dude, you have to come with me. I don't know if this is your thing. I don't know if you like tabletop role-playing games, but I want to play this, and you have to go because I don't want to get murdered. And so we show up, we show up and I've got like a Nerf gun. Like that's gonna help me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
you're protected there.
some pocket sand, and ended up
Oh,
ended up
man.
we're still friends. We still play, like they're part of my online game. But yeah, it was insane.
See, and I'm kind of odd man out. Like my first time playing was over at my dad's house. He had some new neighbors move in, and they're like, "Oh, hey, our sons are about the same age. Why don't they hang out or something?"
Mhm.
And he kind of got me introduced to D&D, and so it was just him and I. He ran the game. I made a character, and first game he introduced me to this wizard named Elminster. I don't know if any of you that play D&D are familiar with them. And so I had the brilliant idea of, well, I'm going to pester this guy until he gives me some cool magical stuff. Yeah, first game lasted 25 minutes, and I was dead. Yeah,
Don't mess with that wizard.
You don't mess with that wizard.
Mm.
But then eventually we started playing Shadowrun, which is like the first actual campaign that I didn't die in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now-
That's really cool. That's a fun way to introduce. That's a fun way to introduce yourself to a system.
It's like, I can die in this. Oh.
Oh. Ooh. Quick save. Reload.
So yeah, Chupra says it right there. Do not meddle in the affairs of wizards. I learned that the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so why is Starfinder your favorite tabletop game to play?
Man, I think one thing that makes it my favorite is because there are like a lot of TTRPGs out there, but the ones that I was really big into, I never got to be in at the beginning of it. Part of what makes this kind of special to me is that I was there. We were there reading the books like the second the books were available, and we made the Discord and we made this podcast, and we really got to watch as more and more people. I got to run and be a part of Starfinder games with a lot of people who were like, "Yeah, this is my first Starfinder game," or "No, this is my first game," like period, because I looked at 3.5, and there were a lot of people who were saying this is more entry level friendly, and I like that. And part of the reason I like Starfinder a lot is because it is entry level friendly, in my opinion, and that I think that it's probably brought a lot of people into the hobby who are maybe too scared to tackle some of the like harder aspects of maybe D&D, or it's kind of like what D&D 5e has done for D&D, and it makes me really happy. And so I love science fiction in general. Horror and science fiction have always been my two greatest entertainment sources, because I'm a daydreamer, and I think both of those genres really speak to me that way. So I could always play. Starfinder is one of the few things that I would never say no to playing. If somebody's like, "Oh, Tyler, you want to play Starfinder?" Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, I completely agree with the same kind of aspects as besides Ground Up, because I was a year late. But Pathfinder, as great as it is, if anybody from Paizo is watching, I do love it. But like once they put that in space, I was ecstatic. KOTOR is my favorite game series. I love space things, so that definitely helped me.
But yeah, and go ahead.
No.
And after you.
Well, I mean, it's one of those systems that with just the variety of like different planets and locales in it. I mean, you can pretty much make any kind of campaign you want out of it. I mean, it doesn't have to be like for lack of a better description, a Star Wars type setting. You could have it be set on a different planet that's maybe technologically more primitive, or you could even make it into a horror campaign depending on where you put it. It's so versatile compared to a lot of other gaming systems that are out there, or gaming settings rather. So.
Yeah, I mean, at the back of like every AP or anything is a codex of worlds and an alien archive.
Oh, yeah.
It's always, they're always adding options, and I think the options always bring some kind of diversity. And when especially if you're a GM, you read these things, and these are what spark ideas. You're like, oh my gosh, this world has nothing on the crust. It's just subterranean, upside down cities in a hollowed planet. I want to write a quick adventure, take my people there.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think that's also part of it, is that Starfinder, the setting itself, the places like the Burning Archipelago, the Diaspora, Octurne. You like, as a GM, you want to show these places off, and as a player, you read about them, you're like, I want to visit this.
Right.
So I think that's also part of what makes it just so great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, also, and I know I said Edrass was dead. I didn't really want to bring this up, but how do you feel about, because I thought this was one of the coolest things, and it kind of touches on how we're in the beginning of the actual story realm of Starfinder. But Jason Keeley named an area after Varanus. Like, how dope is that?
Yeah, that was kind of unreal. I definitely, when I saw that, because I'm subscribed to all the APs, and so I got to read that, and I was just like, oh wow. I mean, that's kind of, it's a weird nerd equivalent of like if you were driving down a highway and you're like, son, see that mountain? Me, named after me. That's the Range de la Tyler, me. And it's kind of the nerd equivalent to that. It's just kind of one of those things where I made a character that people liked enough to where someone from Paizo felt comfortable having a little Easter egg that kind of nodded towards him. And I don't know how much more complimentary you can get than that. I love the big redheaded lug, and I think that will always be really, really special to me. So
Yeah. No, I mean, when I don't know if Tim, I don't know if you felt this way, but when I was listening to this week's episode and Rebecca said Max in the beginning, that's how I felt. Like, and this is on,
Right.
not to shorten what Cosmic Crit is, because I love it. That's why I do this show. But like, I was like, oh man, she said my name. Like, she said my show. Even though I've had Patrick and I've had Miles and you're on here, like, I'm still, every time I hear somebody else talk about it, I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. Except yours is in print and will be there forever, and mine's just, tweets. So
It's the internet. It never goes away. Don't worry.
that's true. One day these books will deteriorate in the nuclear holocaust, whatever we end up. But we'll always have the tweets. We'll always have Twitter.
Oh no, they'll be telling the tales of Varanus, like what's that Christian Bale movie where he's telling the kids the tales of Star Wars? It's the dragon movie. Drew's gonna post it.
Aerodin, or no, it's not. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's sitting down. They don't have TV or anything. Dragons have taken over the world, and he's just telling them Star Wars, like the story. That's what's going to happen. The world's going to end, and people will be telling the Cosmic Crit story to their children.
And see, I just watched that movie like a month or two ago, and like I cannot remember the name of it.
Choop's got it. It was Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire.
Yes.
Thank you, Choops.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can always count on you.
Chupra Robocata, which is their new name.
Robocata.
But yeah,
I got it. Yeah.
So how are you feeling about season 2? Just in general.
Like, I mean, as a player, I guess I feel two distinct feelings. I'm really excited to get into a new campaign. I'm really excited for this story. Also, as a player, I'm terrified because I'm playing something I'm not used to, and it's really hard. Combats are really hard because Nikithi doesn't do anything. Spoiler, for more or less, he controls his drone, and it's kind of one of those things like take cover and use your custom rig is kind of my motto at this point. But I made him that way intentionally. I wanted to make a character that had to, where I really had to think about where he was on the map, what he was doing, how he was affecting positioning, and how enemies were going to be affected by his just his presence. You know, with Edrass, it was just go in and make the biggest noise. Like, you want everybody to come right to you.
Right.
And so Nikithi, obviously, he can barely, if he trips and falls down like a set of 20 stairs, he's dead. There's no.
He's squishy. He's a slug man.
Yeah, and so this is challenging in a very fun and different way. But I'm also just excited because we have the Aslanti Star Empire, and I think that's a really cool group of bad guys. Obviously, I've seen I won't say them, but for people who want to stay truly spoiler free, but I've seen the titles of the 3 AP books. That's it, and they're juicy titles. They're titles where I'm like, oh, I want to get into it.
Yep.
And so far it's proven great. Just even the beginning where we spoilers, I suppose. This is a spoiler show, right? Do I have to? I hope so. But like, just in the beginning when we land and we were in the jungles, or like a forest really, and I was kind of thinking, oh, this is similar to Castrovel, but then they change it up by having by having a jammer and by having this fog roll in, and so immediately it's a different feel, it's a different challenge from what it was in book 2 of Dead Suns, which I really appreciated it, that they made sure that it had its own unique feel. And I feel like that's just going to continue out throughout all the rest of this book and book 2 and 3. Patrick has been teasing us relentlessly, saying how crazy, he thinks it's the end, it's going to end up being. So I'm very excited. And the rest of the players have made also very, very interesting characters that
absolutely.
I'm really excited to see develop as well.
So as Patrick, I believe it's Patrick, because everybody seems to be logged in on the exact same Cosmic Crit Twitch account, but you're actually spoiling this week's episode, so because we haven't gotten to land yet. This last week was only a ship combat. So
this is a spoiler episode. So I mean, you got it.
Yeah, 30 minutes. Don't worry about it.
I don't think telling you there's fog is too bad. Don't worry. There's fog.
I don't know. We don't know.
Oh, spoiler! We got fog people confirmed.
Yeah. Oh no, not the fog. This is actually this whole the whole. You know what? I might as well spoil all of book 1. This is just a John Carpenter remake book. It's literally just a John Carpenter film that we made into a Starfinder game.
Yeah. Fog. Gorillas in the mist. Yeah. Gorillas in the fog. But so with the season 2, and you've gotten a few episodes under your belt, what character should we, besides Nikithi, what character should we keep our eye on? Like, what's the who is it that you're really loving and wanting to see expand?
Oh, that's a good question.
And your drone doesn't count.
I'm still a valid answer.
Closing loopholes as I see them. I'm gonna say this for just one very specific reason. My answer is gonna be Kaz, and it's Kaz because Drew and so again, this is kind of this is background information. When we were making these characters, Drew was pretty ecstatic while he was making his character. He was really, really excited, and everybody was excited for their characters, but I felt like Drew's enthusiasm was even higher than when he was creating Knack back in season 1. And so that really got me like, what has Drew's brain churned up that's got him so red hot? And so I'm very interested to see where Kaz goes. I think he might. I'm wondering if he's like the sleeper character where people are going to be like, oh, it's it's Kaz. Maybe there's not much there. And then he just comes out of left field and just hits us with a bomb. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm really enjoying the editing that Patrick is doing. I think it's Patrick doing it, where it's just like just every time he does, I can't remember the name of it, Drew, I'm sorry, but he does his attack and he gives it that anime feel. Like
Yep.
it gets a smile, it gets sometimes a chuckle, like no matter what, I'm just like, oh, that is awesome. I agree. I am pretty excited about Kaz. I like everybody. I'm not gonna like say favorites or anything like that, but like I I think that each character is so different compared to what it was. I apologize if you can hear my dog in the background, but I
Oh, that's
think
fine.
each character is so different and so fun.
Mhm.
I really wish that that Patrick could take this into a homebrew and just really give everybody a background. Like I think everybody did a really great job building out their characters.
Yeah,
Radiant
I,
Nova
I just
Star
hope he comes
Strike.
up with more anime style attacks as he builds that character up.
Oh, it's Drew. You know he's going to. Like
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's gonna. Maybe that'll have to be another Twitch stream. Is help Drew shop his workshop his anime attacks. Oh man.
so yeah. And
Drew, spoiler warning: Kaz knows many anime style attacks.
Oh boy.
I also there's another question on here. I don't remember adding it to the notes, but I'm supposed to ask,
Oh.
how do you manage
Oh.
to be the most handsome and the most modest person on the podcast?
Oh. Oh man, it's hard. This is a hard. We all work really hard on this podcast. But if you want to work hard on this podcast and have this jawline, you got to take it to the next level. And that's what I bring to this show. That's what I try to bring to this show. Is a terrible sense of humor and a jawline.
in audio format.
And purely audio, yeah.
We can
purely-
hear the jawline.
You can just it's just right there. It's so loud. It's not me running into my mic because I've had too many beers. It's my
Clearly.
jawline asserting itself into the audio podcast. Yeah, that's weird that just that showed up. I'm guessing that was like a fan requested question that you guys.
Yeah, I don't know how they got access to our show notes, but it's pretty weird.
You guys got to be careful. It's this is a tough era for information safety. You got to take all precautions. If it's not fully encrypted, I wouldn't trust it. But Nikithi has a great computer score, so maybe that's not enough.
I also I'm gonna transition here for just a second. It is gonna cover up the things, but I did want to point and show. Please excuse the cameras are off for anybody that's watching, but Shades built out the bear on
Yep.
the thing. Let me pull that back up. There we go. And it's pretty cool. Like built out when I think Shades used a dog build and then just put some stuff around. But I'm really liking what they're doing with each character. Unfortunately, no slug molds. I apologize. We'll get there.
Well, I'm just ahead of the time. I'm just ahead of the times over here with my
You're a
slugs.
trendsetter.
Pretty soon, everybody's going to be like, slugs are the way to go. Slugs are the meta in Starfighter Society when they get released. When that boon comes out, if it isn't, then I think you'll see this just gold mine of slug Sharon SFS characters.
Of course. I mean, I'd never heard of Vesks until after Edrass. It was
They didn't exist before Edrass.
super rare.
Yeah, super rare. Definitely not. There is not a whole system of them anywhere. They're
No.
rare breed.
So, yeah, I'm already out of show notes. By the way, all I see is Jason X sucks. So, I'm gonna throw a couple just off the top of the old noggins, because you played a Vesk.
Yeah.
And there's very little we actually know about the Veskarian and anything. Like they kind of just were like, hey, these are like these guys that were super powerful and they're taking over. Not quite as Lanty style, but then they became friends and they have this area. How do you feel about like a book that's just dedicated to Vesk stuff?
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh, you're preaching to me, man. The second that I knew I wanted to play a Vesk, I was like, I want like a Pack Worlds book. Would end up being like a Pack
Mhm.
Worlds book just for the Veskarium. It's a, I mean, just the little like nuggets of information that are there are so tantalizing and they're so
Oh
good.
yeah.
You know, I would love to do that. Just I would love to see that because you know, I would love to do, you know, more stuff for the stream. I guarantee you I would write something for us to play on the stream in the Veskarium if a book like that came out, to where we had some like really deep, you know, nuggety, juicy details about, you know, more
Mhm.
about that system. I would want to go there immediately because it was hard. It was hard writing Edrass in the very beginning because it was just kind of, it was, you know, there was just a skeleton of what was available. And so I wrote a lot of stuff. Like I was just trying like, okay, well, like what, there was a little bit about Vesk military culture there. And I tried to think about, you know, more about that and try to expand it in my head canon. And, you know, and then how like Edras's parents fit into that, and then how they fit into it, you know, after they left the military, and then, you know, what Edrass, you know, how Edras's relationship changed from, you know, when he was growing up with his family, and, you know, going back to Vesk Prime. I said it in Vesk Prime because, you know, I didn't, that was kind of like the most that was available, I thought, and, you know,
Mhm.
that I wanted to go off of. So I am parched for Veskarium information for sure. I would love it.
Yeah. Cool. I knew the answer was going to be you wanted it because everybody does, but I
Yeah.
thought, you know, somebody that played a Vesk for over a year and developed this story and developed the stuff inside, like, how would you feel about it? Because I know Patrick and I, like, I can't remember if it was in the Discord, like, general or what, but we were talking about that too, like, 6 months ago. So, um,
Yeah, well, like I think a lot of early character ideas, and even if they're not like your final idea, but a lot of these ideas, when I'm making a character, come from what you read in the setting.
mhm,
Right.
Um, you know, and so like I had the same struggles with Nikithi, you know, Osharan's. I couldn't even tell you what the Osharan's homeworld is if they've listed one. I don't know. When I did Nikithi, I just kind of focused mainly on his personality and not so much like I didn't make his heritage his like the backbone of his personality and core concept. But Edrass. A lot of Edrass came from what I thought his upbringing was, and his upbringing was in the Veskarium. And so that was just a struggle because, you know, so many times I've read something about like, oh, this, you know, kind of like I know when I was reading the Pack Worlds, I must have had like 7 or 8 character ideas just based on like little tidbits of information that was in there. And then you know, it's fun to go off and explore that. You know, what would it be like? What would it be if you, like, Akaton is a good example, I think, as well, where it's just like, oh man, you know, Akaton is just this, has just been ravaged of a resource that's no longer usable. It's corrupt. It's, you know, and what would it be? What would it be like to be born on Akaton, but maybe to like one of the high corporate families that are still left? And, you know, you're a poster child for that, and, you know, you're seen all over the feeds, and everybody just hates you, and everywhere you go people just throw trash at you, but you don't understand why. You're brainwashed into thinking that you're giving something to all these people. And so that just comes from one setting concept, and I love exploring those little branches. And So it was very hard not to have that. I just had to make it up.
Right.
yeah. So that actually, uh, man, as well as you explain that, that leads me into a brief conversation that I think we had in like the Ask the Cast channel probably a year ago, and it was just asking you like how you came up with characters, and I remember that you kind of you went into it very deeply, like when you make a character you do a lot. If you could just go over like some of that, because I think that it's amazing. I think there was a noir that you were talking about at some point, but but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like, a lot of I make characters in my truck driving to work and back. That's where all my characters are like birthed and kind of molded. And so, sometimes it's usually stuff that I read. I really like I really like reading. And so, for example, in the terms of Edrass, when I was making Edrass, part of Edrass's personality comes from a pirate captain called Captain Bellamy. I was introduced to Captain, I read about Captain Bellamy. I did like a world history report on piracy and how it affected, I think it was how it affected like trade routes. That was for like AP World History back in the time. So I learned about all these these pirate figures, and Bellamy was one of them. And so part of his personality comes from like secondhand tales of what he did, and accounts of how he treated his crew and how he treated the prizes. So it draws this whole thing about taking what he needed, but not just like wasting lives and stuff like that. That comes directly from Bellamy's philosophy. So I like building off of those kind of things, and then once I kind of have built a metal frame for the character, I begin to start typically filling it out. I will almost always start with who were their parents and how was their childhood, because there's I think the childhood is formative, and if your character's childhood needs to make sense with how they became an adult. And so I will start with their childhood, and I usually will pick 6 or 7 like formative moments in their life. So like this, whatever happened, this changed them forever. And then, and I just keep going down until we reach the start of the campaign. So sometimes, there may be a moment that happened like right at the beginning of the campaign. Sometimes maybe they all happened in between like, a short period of time. But I always try and build those moments for Edras's. One was when his military service, when he was pushed out to one of the further planets in the Viscarium, and the other one was because that's not where he wanted to be. The other one was when he was on that planet and he witnessed a kind of a military slaughter of sorts of what he thought were good people. And so that was a defining, and then he realized like he didn't want to do this anymore. And then another defining moment was when when he made the decision to steal a ship and leave. And so I make these for all these characters, and once I have those moments, I usually will then go and kind of briefly fill in the parts in between. Or a lot of times I'll just write about how I think that must have felt for that character, when like going back to Edrass, because I can't spoil Nikithi, or I can, but I shouldn't. With Edrass,
no, please do.
With Edrass, when he witnessed the Vex military basically make a mistake and kill a bunch of people that shouldn't have been killed, it was not only did he feel like it was unjust, but he felt betrayed by something he trusted. He trusted the military up to that point, and then he realized that the people in charge there made mistakes, and that they weren't better than him or more honorable than him, and he kind of just became disillusioned and just decided he didn't want to follow them anymore. And so he took their stuff and left. And so I try to fill out those defining moments that way with, how did that make the character feel, and how did it, change them moving forward. And then I usually after that like to come up with a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter at all. Stuff that I send to Patrick, and he's like, why did you make this? Like, why? This is too much too far. Just as what I can tell you, because that it is Nikithi related. One thing, because Nikithi is a arms dealer, and so one of the things that I gave to Patrick, I'm trying to scroll up and find it right now in our DMs, but it was every like person that he sold arms to, like illegally. And so I ended up coming up with like 8 or 9 people. Oh man, I wish I could find. Oh, here it is. So things would be like Captain Anduli Daviticus, human soldier, an ambitious pirate under the free captains. He has a smaller crew who he outfits with elite high-end gear. An ex-mercenary who was praised for his tactical genius, but was eventually exiled from several mercenary crews due to his greed and the ruthless punishments he would deal out to any who disobeyed his orders.
That is awesome.
So that's not going to come back and bite you at all.
My favorite one I made was Fictix Downrigger, a Yosoki operative, a smuggler who specializes in trading and selling exotic animals, known for raiding the jungles of Castroville and Verces. Fictix not only buys specialized weapons from Nikithi, but trades rare harvested parts from creatures back to Nikithi for use in his weapon projects. So these are the things I write, and just so that, you know, and so then a lot of the times, there's an example. I wrote an entire script for a conversation between Captain Anduli Daviticus and Nikithi, basically during a arms exhibition. And I wrote a whole script about what each person would say and like what happened and a bunch of fun things. And that's the kind of stuff that I just like to write on my free time just to help me understand him. And I like forcing Nikithi or Edrass into situations this way, and then trying to think of like, what would he say? What would he try to do? How would he come up? How would he come out of this?
That is insane. If I had one player do as much work as you put into your character, I have one that their backstory, I was like, just write like 3-paragraph backstory just so I know like kind of how your character is gonna fit. And it was just like, left school, wants to explore, and I was like, great. Like,
well, it gives you a lot to work with, though.
Yeah.
And by the way, feel free to take any of these characters that I'm throwing out and add them to the Crittermander universe if you'd like. Because they're not, because literally I'm looking at Patrick's response was, "This is a great example of making too much backstory."
That's insane, and like in a good way. Like, I think it's great. Yeah. Do you have any free time to GM a homebrew game for me?
Ooh. Probably not. As much as I would really love to. I do want to do some GM stuff, but I think if anything, it's going to be a part of the stream. I know that CritterCon is coming up, CritterCon 2, and I'm hoping that I might be able to GM some people through that, and I'm hoping to be able to GM for the stream itself. But unfortunately, all my time outside of the podcast is kind of dedicated to doing other things for the podcast. Except for my Tuesday nights on Pathfinder, like my one night where I'm not doing podcast or Starfinder stuff. So
no, I completely feel you. But forget about the podcast. Just GM for Tim and I and some others. And
yeah. When the podcast is over, let's do it.
There we go.
Well, we won't have a show to talk about when the podcast's over, so let's not end the podcast now.
We can convert it over to talking about our game then.
This can be shooting the crit, talking about shooting the crit. We're just gonna get really meta with the whole thing. It's gonna be like a Deadpool movie wrapped in a Deadpool comic wrapped in a Deadpool music
cereal box.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that is awesome though. I appreciate it. I know Patrick says, this is overdoing it, but I guarantee one of those characters' names is gonna show up in this.
Absolutely.
Season.
Yeah. Can I tell you which one I hope shows up?
Oh.
Yeah.
This is not what I never get to share these, so I'm just so happy to share these. So I apologize if people are just like, why are we listening to Tyler's character concepts? But the favorite, the one I hope shows up is Kargar Korgar. It is a Trox soldier. He's an assassin and a murderer. Kills for fun first, money second. His iconic two-handed plasma axe was designed by Nikithi. He is known for leaving his victims in poses of doing ordinary mundane tasks. Oftentimes, he will kill more than just his target in order to create a scene using the other bodies. He leaves titles at every scene. His best-known work is Argument Observed. It depicts two adults in a kitchen having an argument while two children watch while hiding around a corner crying.
Oh man.
I want to see that right now. Patrick, get on it immediately.
So this is an idea that I've kind of been twiddling with. I don't remember who it is that's in the Discord that did this, but they put all of season 1 stuff into TV tropes and like on their
that's
website.
cool.
And they were just going through everything. I know that there's a lot of people in the Discord that are like cataloging the ships stuff. And I really want to see like, and I can't do it. I don't have time, but a Wikipedia built out for all this. And like this list of things just in there. Like these are now NPCs. Just because Patrick didn't sign off, you made this backstory. they are somewhere in the Critterverse. They're just not maybe in the show. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, you need to upload this. You know, maybe have Patrick go through it a little bit, but we need to expand this Critterverse, and I love that guy. I love that guy.
Yeah, it would be fun. Maybe one of these days I will put together all the things I wrote for Edrass and all the things I wrote for Nikithi, and just release it as like a Google document or put it up on the website for people to peruse through, and just
Patreon.
Yeah, or it could be something to release on Patreon that just kind of shows is just like this is how I personally made a character, and how all the things changed from Nikithi just starting out as like he's a guy he's got a drone and he's a slug and he was really into bioengineering, and how he got all the way to where he is now.
There we go.
Yeah. But I will say, we do rag on Patrick, but for any of you out there who is making a character, this is too much backstory. If your GM is asking you to finish up your character sheet and you're working on this, you've done it backwards. Do that first. Write this whenever you want when it's a snowy day out and you don't want to go outside and you want to fill in your lore tab for your character. Then do this.
Yeah, don't do the math last, kids. Do it
Right.
first. Fill out the sheet first, then the bio second. But
yeah, if you come up to like my SFS table and you show me this, I'm gonna be super happy until I ask you what your computer's bonus is, and you're like, computer's bonus,
Right.
then I don't appreciate it anymore.
Here's 12 pages for you to read. I haven't rolled my stats yet.
Yeah. Which poor Patrick is pretty much what he has to go through sometimes with me, because it's just okay. I have an entire journal. Great. Have you chosen your class yet? No. I'm sorry.
But here is the last 5 years calendar dated.
Yeah.
He went to lunch with this guy. This guy has 3 parents, and
Yeah.
7 a.m. ate breakfast, waffles again.
Yeah. My character this season is a Maraquai. Now, Maraquai families are very complex, and I've actually created several generations from each birth step in the Maraquai process. This is going to get complicated. Sit down.
Love it.
I've got 14 videos on YouTube set up for you. This will walk you through.
Yeah, this will walk you everything you need to know. Heritage, genealogy. It's very important to understand this, to understand his progression moving forward. No.
But no, I do think that's awesome. And yes, Patrick, I already put it in the chat, but you do get final write-off and on canon. But
Yeah,
there are plenty of throwaway characters in the background that we can just throw in. So,
yep, it's true.
You can always use more cannon fodder.
Sorry, I was catching up on chat.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so season 2, excited. Do you know what your season 3 is going to be yet?
Do I know what so I'll tell you a little bit about season 3. I won't say too much. I was up until, I will say, about 2/3 through season 1. I at least knew my race. I was like, I know what race I'm going to play. I've changed my mind, but up until, because I wanted to play an Astrozoan. And I will say this is one of those situations where I saw so many people in Discord talk about Astrozoans. I was like, I'm not gonna get away with playing one of these. There are a ton of everybody in the Discord and everybody who obviously listens to Shooting the Crate. You guys are all you guys are so good at anticipating the things we try to scheme. And I was like, if I try to pull a fancy shade with an Astrozoan, I'm gonna get called out like that fast. So as much as I really wanted to play an Astrozoan, I'm going to be playing something else. I don't know much about season 3. I actually know more about season 4. One of the things that I thought about for season 3, I saw someone, I had a conversation with a few people in the Discord about if the drone could ever turn into an android. And we talked briefly about that, and we the way the conversation ended up was like, I think the drone moving into android status, because androids do have that inherent soul quality to them that makes them unique. But a drone into an SRO, that seemed more valid,
more feasible.
And I became that kind of got stuck in my head like on the second we were discussing it. And so I don't know if about season 4 or beyond, but I will say that starting a character where like they used to literally be a mechanics drone, even if it wasn't Idis, Nikithi's drone, but started as a drone and then awakened into an SRO. I think that is a really, really cool idea. And I might look at exploring that some other time.
Oh yeah, no, I can totally I can totally see it, because you've got I can't remember what the group is that fights for like robot rights and android rights, but yeah, you're a drone. You were essentially kind of a slave. You're awakened. You're fighting with them. I can see that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, because a 20th level mechanic basically has a master AI, right? I mean, that's where really the drone is kind of bumping up against that weird line. And so if, I think it's feasible where if you had this super powerful drone and you had a mechanic who maybe received like a vision from Triune or something else from what's the planet that has where all the machines are hosted, where like
Cybertron.
Yes. So Cybertron, something like that. And all of a sudden the drone kind of becomes awakened. But I feel like there would still be that awkwardness where like, the drones in its awakened state is trying to figure out what's going on. And maybe the mechanics doesn't even realize what's happened, initially. And so it gets all these weird things where the mechanics trying to tell the drone what to do. And the drone is starting to think like, I don't have to do that. And it makes a different decision. And then the mechanic's like, whoa, what the heck? What? And then you push it from there. So
yes, 100% yes. Yeah. So can you DM for me? I'm available Thursdays. Because I love this. I love this story. I love how this goes. Like, absolutely. I want to live that. But yeah,
and that's what makes Starfinder rolls back to what we're talking about. This is why Starfinder's dope. I love Pathfinder, but I'm not awakening a drone anytime soon in Pathfinder to become, its own sense of self and throw down a serious Wall-E complex on you all throughout the course of a campaign. That's not happening in Pathfinder, but that's why I love playing this game.
Yeah. There we go.
I think
speaking of them playing this game, what is it? 5 minutes before the new episode launches? Yeah.
We get to hear about this fog.
I say that.
I'm gonna get so I don't even want to open up my Discord because I'm sure there's just messages from Patrick like, Tyler, you idiot, Tyler, what have you done? Like, can't you pay attention one time to the release versus the recording?
That
So I
that
don't even-
entire backstory list of characters are all in my stuff. I have to rewrite everything.
I have to rewrite everything. I lied to you to tell you that we weren't going to use it so I could surprise you, you idiot.
I can't wait. I can't wait. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I think it was a blast.
Thank you
Awesomely
for having me.
detailed.
Thanks for being
I
here.
had a ton of fun. Next time I'm on, I'm going to prepare questions for you guys, and we'll flip this
Ooh.
on its. We'll flip this on its head, and
Yeah.
I'll grill you about what ridiculous backstories you made that were of no consequence.
That's as close as you're going to get to him GMing for us, all right?
Probably.
Deal.
Yeah.
Deal. Good enough. I have this weird drone that turned into an SRO. I'll have it ready in about a week.
Perfect.
Just the backstory, right? You got to follow these things in order.
Yeah, just the backstory.
I don't even want to see your stats until I have a full backstory. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm writing a book. It's getting published on Amazon. That's how you're getting my character.
You're getting, we're gonna be doing like Audacity promotions for your book.
Yeah.
The SRO in me.
There we go.
The SRO that could.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again for having us. Thank you everybody that's watching.
Thank you.
So now we do have something else to show here real quick before the new episode drops, don't we?
You are 100% correct. Tyler didn't tell me.
Say, I pay attention sometimes. Sometimes.
What?
I gotta
I gotta reopen Twitch. Please don't play Pokemon. Don't do it, Twitch. Okay, you're good.
Oh yeah. Ty Guy doesn't even know about this one.
Ooh.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Well, you probably know
It's
about
all
it,
of
but
your
you didn't know we
NPCs
had
at
it.
once. No.
That'd be amazing.
This week on Cosmic Crit, we will be listening to. Keep it going. Just keep it going.
Just drag out those words a little more.
Hold it
Stop
out.
teasing.
Mist of Fury.
Woo! Oh, look at that!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
featuring none other, Kaz, doing some
Then
crazy stuff.
The man, the number one man I'm on the lookout for.
So like the whole time you're talking about Kaz, I'm like, he hasn't seen that yet.
No,
It's
I love this art.
Oh yeah.
what I really loved, and I'm gonna try not to reveal too much on here, like all of my hidden information, but kind of shows me. I'll play with this.
Miss of Fury. Yeah, there we go.
So
Some
Alinda
Bruce
sends me,
Lee.
yeah, Alinda sends me the picture, and then she's like, "This is what the actual one was, Fist of Fury." So I was like, "Yeah,
That's so
I
good.
know what, I get the Mist of Fury thing." Like, but
She just wanted to make sure.
yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, we've got Mist of Fury, and I think
Mr. Fury.
I think it's insane. I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I'm super excited to hear about this fog or mist, whichever it is. It's kind of getting
It's
spoiled.
a very
for me.
subtle difference.
Very subtle difference that is going to be important.
It's crucial to
Right.
the story.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tyler, for staying late, even though you're on Pacific time. I'm going to go to bed and listen to this in the morning.
There we go.
Tim will listen
Awesome.
to it with you guys on the Discord, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
He's staying up all night. All right.
Oh,
Everybody.
I don't have to be to work in like a couple hours.
Yeah. Good to go.